a retirement question for the show.
Oh, helping us out.
We love when they're helping us out. And he says, Jeff, I work for a large corporation with a pension plan. As I approach my retirement, I fear that my division may be sold. Not unusual, right? Companies buy and sell pieces themselves all the time. Possibly to a company which doesn't have a pension plan. If it doesn't, what might happen to my plan? That's kind of important.
Very important.
You know, and he mentions that a few years ago when he was much younger that he had a plan that had been terminated, and but he doesn't want to lose this plan at this stage in his life. Would I be best served to retire early and to draw early from my plan before the sale? I'd like to continue to work somewhere else. Should I put it off or should I wait or change jobs now and leave the pension alone until planned retirement age? A lot of questions here, obviously a lot of uncertainty. So if we can, let's see if we can help John.
So the first question is really what happens to the plan if the company's sold to another that does not plan to continue the pension?
Well, I would think that if that occurs and the new corporation decides that they don't want to continue the obligation to those new employees funding that plan, they would freeze the plan, right?
Exactly. So if you're vested in the pension plan, you wouldn't lose your pension benefit. It's not going to continue to accrue the way it is now.
That's right. And generally, when they freeze a plan, everybody becomes vested. Did you know that?
Now I do.
There you go. We're learning something new every day, right? Yeah, you actually do become vested in the benefits in your plan. So what happens is that vested benefit is really based on a formula, like your retirement benefit, which is generally a percentage of pay times the number of years of service. So whatever that benefit that you had accrued, that will continue. It probably won't grow.
Right. Because
you're not adding to it in terms of your years of service into retirement. So what I had said to John in my response is that, you know, the document that you have, your plan document, is really what controls what happens in the plan.
Right. Also, it controls what your options are.
And so, Aaron, what would you think would be a couple of those options?
So the first option would be he would just wait until he's ready to take his pension. He doesn't need to take it early.
Right.
And he can take the pension when he decides to retire and needs the income. Or the other option would be maybe he'd like the lump sum, and if that is a potential choice in his plan, he could take the lump sum when he's ready.
Yeah, and it certainly wouldn't be surprising if a lump sum option wasn't in the plan. The plan may possibly be amended to permit that because that acquiring corporation would want to get rid of that liability
exactly,
for potential future funding as well. So, again, in John's particular case, he happens to be 62, so he would be somebody that probably is eligible to begin distributions from his retirement plan if he wanted to make those. Or again, like you said, he could wait until he was 65, 60, or whatever his normal would be, or do a lump sum. So that would be something that would be, kind of some neat options to consider. The other thing is, and I guess the other question would be is, he sounded like he was a little nervous. You know, should I quit? Should I quit and start taking the benefits from the plan so that I'll actually get them? You know, the answer to that really is most likely no. What I think you're wondering about, John, here is the integrity of the pension plan, which is how close is it to its full funding status? Has the corporation that he's currently working for been making those required contributions that they need to as well? Have the investment earnings of the plan met those targets so that that plan is in a place where it can be viable to pay out the benefits for future participants?
And generally, if there were some lack of integrity in the plan, it's not based on who's currently taking, it's based on how long you've participated, correct? So even if you weren't the one, even if you hadn't started taking the pension and maybe they get turned over to the PBCG, then even as long as you've been vested for a certain amount of time, you're going to be able to maintain a certain level of benefits, whereas people that have been vested for shorter amounts of time tend to see additional decreases in their benefits.
Yes, and again, I think that it's easy each person that's in a pension plan does receive an annual report. They can check and they can really find out, based on the percentage of funding liability, how much of that percentage is the company meeting. In most cases, if there were issues with the plan, like with the Teamsters, et cetera, those type of plans, with steel workers, what happens is information is really readily available. Private corporations, the big companies we're talking about, major corporations that are
offering pensions,
outside of these union pensions,
right?
Most of these plans are very viable. So I would think that